My name is Lucy, and I'm 28 years old, serving as a homemaker. I've been employed at the same company for my entire career. However, I decided to resign once I learned I was expecting our daughter, Maya. The year Maya was born, my husband, Owen, made the choice to transition to freelance work, leaving his corporate job. I repeatedly questioned him about the stability of freelance income, but he assured me by saying, "Don't worry, freelancing is more rewarding than being a company employee." With that, he began working from home. Initially, my husband's freelance work seemed promising as he received jobs from multiple clients. However, over time, the consistency of work orders became erratic. Relying solely on my husband's unstable income while raising a child felt mentally challenging. When Maya turned 2, I sought permission from my former employer to return as a part-time worker, allowing me to work shorter hours. This change helped us achieve financial stability as a family, with my husband taking on the role of caring for our daughter. I had concerns because my husband tended to be impulsive in quitting his jobs. However, when Maya started kindergarten, he proposed and insisted on dropping her off and picking her up. I convinced myself that there's no fixed gender role for household chores and childcare in a marriage. Yet lately, something seems amiss with my husband. I can't pinpoint the reason, but I have a gut feeling that something unusual is happening. My husband is constantly attached to his phone, always close by, with a noticeable grin on his face. He even takes his phone to the restroom, showers, or bathes with it. Recently, he's been going out more frequently than before. There was one instance when he left our daughter behind during the day, leading to her accidentally breaking her arm while attempting to reach something on a high shelf. I confronted him, asking why he didn't take better care of Maya, but he defensively claimed he needed personal time. I found it hard to believe his explanations, and it seemed like he had shifted his attention to another woman, neglecting both me and our daughter. This shocking situation left me feeling a void in my heart, filled with anger and sadness. Since then, my husband has been frequently absent, often spending nights away without explanation, citing work-related data collection as his reason. During his last overnight absence, he refused to disclose his whereabouts. He conspicuously sported a hickey on his neck, so noticeable that it almost seemed like he wanted to flaunt it. Witnessing this, I became absolutely certain about Owen's actions. I no longer wanted a man like him, and my desire for a divorce intensified. It appeared as if Owen viewed me merely as an ATM, a source of financial support. Feeling frustrated and disappointed by his perception of me, I yearned to escape this situation in a way that would secure stability in my life post-divorce. I attempted to uncover more about my husband's affair, but he was meticulous in concealing his actions, leaving no incriminating evidence at home. Then, one day during an unexpected turn of events, I discovered the truth about his affair. In the dead of night, my phone rang, and it was a call from the police. Inquiring about the situation, I learned that my husband had been involved in a car accident. He had rented a car and was the one responsible for the accident. Not only had he been in the car, but there was also a woman, his mistress, who suffered severe injuries and was taken to the hospital. This revelation shook me to my core. On the day Owen claimed to be on a business trip for a job interview, he had actually been traveling with the woman he was cheating on me with. My initial anger subsided as I managed to regain composure. I called my parents, arranged for them to care for our daughter, and rushed to the hospital where Owen and his mistress were admitted. Thankfully, neither of them was in life-threatening condition, which brought some relief. However, the doctor informed me of the possibility that my husband might never walk again due to the accident's impact. Even if he did recover, a life in a wheelchair was likely. I also inquired about the woman's condition. The doctor couldn't provide specifics but mentioned a shattered car window had left her with a sizable scar on her face, and her neck was immobilized due to a collision-induced injury. Mixed emotions welled up within me. While I felt a degree of sympathy for Owen's mistress, who now bore a prominent scar, I also harbored a sense that she was reaping what she sowed. Karma at work. Entering the hospital room, which accommodated 2 people, I observed Owen and the woman, presumably his girlfriend, sleeping side by side. The nurse explained that typically men and women would have separate rooms, but due to the limited availability, they were both placed in the same room since they were involved in the same car accident. I stood before the woman and studied her face. It struck me that I might have seen her somewhere before. As I contemplated, it dawned on me that this woman was our daughter's kindergarten teacher. In essence, my husband had been having an affair with a kindergarten teacher. It suddenly made sense why he insisted on taking our daughter to and from kindergarten daily, which had been quite out of character for him. I also recalled his persistence in attending parent-teacher conferences. My husband seemed to awaken to my presence and spoke in a subdued tone. "I knew that you were cheating on me. I didn't realize it was with our daughter's kindergarten teacher. She's really beautiful and nice, so I couldn't resist." His words lacked the usual strength and confidence, likely due to the doctor's earlier revelation that he would spend his life in a wheelchair. I had made up my mind that I couldn't continue this relationship. "Let's get a divorce," I asserted. "You heard the doctor. I'll be in a wheelchair for life," he argued. I retorted, "And why should I take care of you? I, who was cheated on by you with another woman behind my back, shouldn't have to care for you." He countered, "I provided for you and our daughter all this time." I replied, "That's because I started working part-time, allowing us to make ends meet and live decently, as your income was too unstable. Do you forget those months when you barely made $1,000 or even $500? I was firm in my decision to pursue a divorce and request alimony. He called me crazy and the worst human being, but I retorted that leaving our daughter alone for an affair made him equally culpable. His girlfriend, who was next to him, had been in pain upon arrival but was now sound asleep, thanks to a potent anesthetic. Deciding to handle the situation through lawyers, I left the hospital room. I knew I would have a busy period ahead, involving divorce, alimony, and child support. Returning to my parents' home, I explained the situation to them, and they were both furious. They offered to care for our grandchild and welcomed me back. The following day, I visited the kindergarten to submit all the necessary documents, as my daughter, Maya, would no longer attend that school. No one could have known that she was in the hospital, let alone sharing the same room as my husband. After completing the necessary paperwork and finishing up at the kindergarten, I observed the commotion in the school. Just as I was about to leave, Owen, a mother and a close friend of Maya's, approached me. "It's so unusual to see you here. Your husband is the one who usually comes," she remarked. I explained to her that my husband had been in a car accident. In response, Owen said, "Really? Well, I'll go visit him at the hospital with my husband." Seeing an opportunity, I informed her that the person in the same car as my husband was also hospitalized in the same room. I encouraged her to visit them as soon as possible, knowing they would appreciate it. It turns out Owen did visit my husband and his girlfriend that Saturday. At that time, they were still sharing the same hospital room. Shortly after Owen's visit, I received a phone call from her. I pretended to be in tears as I told Owen that my husband had been having an affair with the kindergarten teacher. I revealed that he had lied about a business trip and had actually gone on a road trip with the teacher behind my back. I also mentioned how he had left our daughter, Maya, alone at home so he could meet with the teacher. I explained that I had decided to divorce Owen, move back to my parents' home, and enroll my daughter in a different kindergarten. Owen, who had a strong sense of justice, was appalled by what she heard and declared it unacceptable. Soon after, the story spread throughout the entire kindergarten. As a result, the teacher who was Owen's girlfriend had to resign from the kindergarten. She is now suing Owen for the accident, which left her face permanently scarred. Owen called me, pleading for help, but I responded, "That's no longer my concern." I informed him that I would only discuss divorce, alimony, and child support, then hung up on him. For a while, Owen resisted the divorce, but his lawyer eventually persuaded him. He finally signed the divorce papers. I obtained what I could in alimony and child support, and Owen agreed to never see my daughter again in the future. My lawyer told me that Owen had been whining and crying throughout the process, begging my lawyer to convey his desire for me to return. I apologized to my lawyer for the trouble I had caused. In the end, I received $30,000 in alimony from my ex-husband and $20,000 from Owen's girlfriend. It seemed that Owen's girlfriend, once confident in her appearance, had lost her self-esteem due to the hideous scar on her face, making her less inclined to go out as freely as before. Now it appears that Owen's girlfriend has returned to her parents' house and tends to isolate herself in her room most of the time. As for my ex-husband, his hospitalization and inability to work for a while led to the loss of most of his clients. Consequently, he no longer has any freelance jobs, and he even had to pay penalty fees for failing to fulfill some of his project commitments and missing contract deadlines due to the accident. Currently, my ex-husband finds himself in a dire financial situation, living at home in a wheelchair with his parents caring for him. In this challenging situation, it's likely quite difficult for Owen to enter into a new relationship, considering the circumstances surrounding his divorce resulting from his affair. It could be said that this is the consequence both Owen and his girlfriend deserve for their actions. On the other hand, I have managed to return to my job with reduced hours initially, eventually transitioning back to full-time employment at the same company where I had a long-standing career. Now I earn enough to support my daughter entirely on my own. I will continue to work diligently while witnessing my wonderful daughter's growth and development.